I've stopped reading YouTube comments for the most part, and I feel a lot better for it, because a lot of the comments are just garbage and unhelpful. Like people complaining like, you're not using the right tools, or you shouldn't use a soda can for a reed valve. Well, it works. It fucking works. I'm sorry that I'm not doing what the engineers said to do, but you know, you can be your own engineer for your own items. You can, if you want to build a new piston, build a new piston. You don't have to buy the same piston from the manufacturer. I get really annoyed by that because my profession is rapid prototyping. One comment that I've been getting a lot over the past year or so comes from the restoration fetishization that's been happening of over-restoring. I've been doing restorations on YouTube since 2012. Actually, since 2011. And for the longest time, they got some views, especially the wrench videos and stuff like that. But the past few years, it's really kind of gone overboard, like a hand tool rescue. I think that's kind of which I like his channel. His channel's great, and he comments on my videos. I like that. But it seems like there's just been this wave of like a meme where this certain style of no talking restorations, it's like porn for tool fanatics. People that like Volter, people that like hand tool rescue. It's like this ASMR type thing. I don't really fully get it, but I get these people coming to my channel telling me, like for instance, that's not real. You need to look up what a restoration is. That's just cleaning the rust off and adding some paint. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know what? You're right. I forgot to check the seals on this. I forgot to calibrate the hemiquads. It's a fucking wrench. What more is there to restore? I'm sorry I didn't add pinstriping. I'm sorry I didn't chrome plate it. I mean, it's a fucking wrench. I want to be able to throw it on the ground without caring about it, because it's a nice clean wrench. And now I want to go get it. Didn't really scuff it up at all, because it's a wrench. It doesn't need to be restored anymore. It's restored to useful capability. And I've actually had to stop saying restoration. I've had to really dance around that word, because like for instance, I would consider this restored. It's restored to functional capability, and I can use it to the most of its capability. That's restored. But it's so annoying. Oh, heaven forbid I don't make some like fetishistic video about it. It's such a weird thing. I guess it's just some like lonely old men that they just want to see videos of people like taking things and chrome polishing them. Like for instance, I'm restoring this David Radley again, and I'm going to be, I'm making a buffing wheel. I'm going to be buffing out the aluminium, and it's going to be nice and reflective, kind of like my 1960s circular saw, because I like that look. But I can guarantee you, some fucking idiot is going to be like, oh, that's not fully restored, because I'm not going to mess with the handle. I'm not going to like re-chrome it, because it's just a chainsaw. I mean, at the end of the day, I can buff it. That's something I can do for almost no money, but like chroming it, I'm not going to do that. That's a bit too far. But to them, they just want you to spend weeks and weeks and months and years on restoring it to a pointless degree. I've just started banning people that say comments like that, because to be honest, YouTube is my channel is like my social media page. I get notifications, well, at least for the longest time I did. I've cut off all notifications, and I've stopped, like for the first time in a decade, I've stopped paying attention to comments, and I feel so much better, because a lot of them are so stupid. Now I've gone into a thing where I read them about every Sunday or Monday or so, and they're just so useless. And I have to ban so many people, because there's people like, you fat fuck, or whatever. I was like, what? And it's just these idiots, but there's always more idiots to replace them. And one of the problems I've noticed is that a lot of people don't really have good advice. And there's no real good way. Like, there's certain people who I've been really nice, and I keep declining their suggestion, and they keep re-suggesting it. They're not paying attention to my response, So I should just block them after like the 10th time of them saying, oh, you should wear gloves when you're painting. Well, I don't need to wear gloves when I'm painting because I'm very careful and I never get paint on my hands. But how many times do I have to say that for them not to read it and then to keep saying, oh, you need to wear gloves when you paint? It's such a waste of time. But back to the topic of over-restoring. I think a bit of patina is nice. I'm surprised more people weren't complaining about me taking the rust off of this, because like for the longest time I got comments from people that they were saying, oh, you should leave some of the patina on there. But like for instance, my light. Well, it's not a light, it's a grinder, sorry. But I turn it into a light. But this is gonna be a video. I just never got around to uploading this video. I put it together a while ago, like a month ago. But some people were upset that I didn't fully sandblast and repaint this. It's like, but it's the original paint and it works fine. And it looks fine. A little bit of oil on it. And I wire brushed all the metal parts, all the raw metal parts, and it looks fine. But I can guarantee you that people just, they can never be pleased, and they need to be banned if they're in that state of mind. Because I've noticed that people, viewers on YouTube, they're some of the most needy people I've ever met, because they're not acting like people. They have such an attitude of, I should do what they want, and that really irks me. And granted, there's some people who have good suggestions, some people who have honest bad suggestions, but a lot of people who get really upset, like, oh, you should buy some real fucking tools. But it's like, I'm sorry. If this works, what's wrong with this? What's wrong with this hose wrench? It worked for 150 years. It works for, well, 145 years. Do I need to have new snap-on wrenches? No, because that's Chinese garbage. And this is actually locally made, nice stuff made in Massachusetts. Nice wrench. Good for another 200 years. No reason that this isn't a real tool. This is more of a real tool than any of the garbage you can buy today. How is this not a real tool? It's a Stanley angle thingamabob, whatever it's called, from like the 1940s. And it's beautiful, and I love it. Oh, I'm sorry, because I use hand tools. I don't use power tools for everything. Well, I've had people complain about my lathe. It's too old. Are you kidding me? I looked for an older lathe. And I couldn't, and that's in 1911, Seneca Falls is the oldest lathe I could find. And I'm still looking for one from the 1850s, and might even do a replica of the original lathe from Machine Thinking's channel that was made by the guy that made the Jacquard loom, whatever it was called, 1751 lathe, because I like working back to that primitive technology. And I hate people who are impractical, and they think that a tool is only worth the chrome on its cover. A good looking tool is only good looking if it actually works. I don't like, nothing in here is really for show, besides a few odd parts like well, even the steam whistle's eventually going to be used as a steam whistle. Let me think if there is actually anything for show in here. Shit. Alright. This is for show. That's for show. A little like lamp from the 50s or whatever, from my great grandfather's. That's for show. I'll give it that. That little piece is for show. Oh, and these insulators, these would be for show, because they're just kind of cool. But they're not taking the place of a tool. If I need to put a tool there, I'll just put them in my insulator box. But I think these two issues are very tightly aligned. People just are very impractical. And it's aligned to another issue that I've noticed. that people tend to get into things. They think that tools will give them skills. They think that the tools are the skills. And so if I don't have the right tools, I don't have the right skills. Well, I can guarantee you, when I worked at Apple managing rapid prototyping labs, there were a lot of kids straight out of college, interns or whatever. They didn't even know how to drill a hole. I had to teach them how to do stuff like drilling a simple hole through aluminium. They had all these tools at their disposal, but they couldn't do anything. Meanwhile, I was over in the corner trying to build a robot with a screwdriver and a power drill because I didn't really want to deal with all the big machinery I had to manage. When I restore this jackhammer I recently got, I might not paint it. I might not even clean it up. What monster am I? And for this, I won't even use replacement parts. I'll make my own parts. So charitable that I'm not following the rules. I'm following no instructions. I'm so reckless and horrible, and I should be banned from YouTube. Or maybe I'm a professional rapid prototyping specialist and I can actually build things, and everybody should have some rapid prototyping skills and be able to build a carburetor if they can't buy a carburetor, or build new pistons if they can't find the right pistons or whatever. Although in this case, for being a $20 engine, the pistons are in really good shape. I'm not sure what to title this video. Should it be Impractical Idiots? Over Restoring? All of the above? I don't know. Whenever I'm going to restore this lathe, which I'm going to do it slowly. More like whenever I happen to take off a part. Like I'm going to be fixing up the tailstock because it has a lot of rust inside of it. Whoever cleaned it up didn't clean up the inside. And whenever I do that, I'll just take off the paint because it's all shipping off. It's the original paint. And I'll repaint it as white. And I'll just, as I take things off to replace them, like whenever I take off this part, I'll take it off, clean it all up. I'll have to weld a few parts, make a few new parts for it. That'll be a big ordeal. But I'll repaint it and make it nice whenever I put it back on. It'll be a slow project of restoring it over time. And a lot of people are going to be very upset that I'm not making it like chrome fitted and all this bullshit, when a little bit of paint makes it look so much nicer. And like, seriously, you shouldn't be so obsessed with making your tools look nice. You should be a little bit obsessed, because if that thing is painted white, I'm going to keep it clean like I would never do with a black or a gray lathe. And I'm going to just feel better. But if it's chrome and have like pinstriping and whatever other things they want, to where all the surfaces are like polished, shiny, or whatever it is they expect, that is just going too far and wasting time. You know, another thing that I've noticed from these people is I've had comments. I tend to ban the people whenever they have these dumb comments. But they're like, you should leave restoring to the YouTube restoring community because you obviously don't know what you're doing. I've been restoring things for 8 years, for 9 years on YouTube. Seriously, I predate this modern fetishistic restoration meme or genre of video series. Okay, like back then I thought I was over restoring things. And now, evidently, I'm under restoring them. Oh God, I'm only cleaning off the rust. I'm only getting back up to great functionality. I'm only painting it. Finally getting to enamel paint. I understand. True. I mean, before that, I was using whatever paint I had. So I've been thinking about making a parody video. And I was thinking, like, do a video of restoring a rock. And, like, find the little pieces of the rock in the woods and glue it back on, or something, and like just totally make fun of the over restorations of like pointless things. Because there's like I can understand spending a lot of time cleaning up a lathe and getting it back to functionality. I can understand doing a circular saw, especially some of those ones that have the chrome already on them. That's cool. But some of the restorations that I see are just garbage. Like, oh, an old door hinge. Do we need to have an old door hinge that's all chromed up? I mean, that's not that interesting to me. Oh, I should do a video of restoring a 2x4. We can bevel the edges. We can engrave flowers onto it. and we can heat treat it. We can find the other piece of the board and glue it back on there, and get the full 12 length. And then why stop there? Why not get all the other boards from all the other buildings in the landfill and put it all together and build the tree again? It'll come back to life. I think this is the point where, like, there's a fine line where I'm willing to go a little overboard. I'm willing to spend a week or so buffing this thing to be nice and shiny and kind of cool, because I want that thing to be really fantastic whenever you see it. Like, I want even the old geezers with their David Bradley to be like, wow, that's a David Bradley chainsaw. And I'm not going to go any further. And I don't know what people expect. I honestly can't watch many of those restaurants. Like, why can't they just, like, I imagine, does Post-Apocalyptic Inventor get a lot of those comments? Because he does restorations that are just kind of, like, sometimes he doesn't even go as far as I go. He goes super practical, cleans off all the rust, puts some oil on it, good to go. I mean, I think that's perfect, because his style, he definitely does, like, really well. And I imagine, like, I haven't looked through his comments that much because I've been avoiding. I installed a Firefox plugin that stops all of the comments from showing up, even if I go to the page. So that, oh, I've been feeling so good. It's such a relief not to have to deal with such a wretched hive of scum and villainy, or stupidity and retardation. And it's really sad too, because like last weekend, I decided to read the week's worth of comments, and I remember there was 1 or 2 comments that were actually good. But there was so much garbage around them that I can't even remember what they are. I should have had a notepad and wrote them down. And they were like good things, like, oh, you should, I can't remember what for sure what they are, but they were things like, oh, if it bolts too tight, to unloosen, try tightening it, then unloosening. Something like that. It's like, oh, that's actually a smart idea, because it could help break it up. But it's just become such a chore to sift through all those comments just to look for anything interesting. And the real sad thing is, like, having 30 comments of people saying, oh, good job, oh, good job, oh, good job. I can't really respond to that. And so I just kind of scroll past all those, because, I mean, it's nice, but it's not really, I can't respond to that. I've had thousands, hundreds of thousands of those over the past decade, and I can't respond to something that I don't have something useful to say. But I don't know. I should probably have a whole other video just talking about the things that I hate about the YouTube comment system and how I think it's gone downhill, because I've actually noticed that insults go through fads. The viewers, they read the comments and then they just read what other people said meanly, and then they just say that again on a different video. I've noticed that, because whenever I go through and delete all of them, they stop saying that. And because I think it just spreads. Like, oh, you're fat, you're skinny. One time I had that happen at the same time, where people saying you're fat and people saying you're skinny shot up, and it just like happened all, like, every single video I was making, like, oh, you're fat, no, you're skinny, or whatever. And it's like, what is going on? But I banned all those people, and there was a few stragglers that saw those old comments and kept posting that, and I banned them too, and I never read again. And it's not like it was the same people posting it multiple times. It was new people posting it. So I'm thinking that people are just so ingenuine, uncreative, where they can't actually think of their own insults. And when they see an insult, they want to write that insult again. But again, this was my ramble. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you very much for watching. See ya. And a train's coming.